from the Daily Wire. Reading now, it says, California gubernatorial candidate Caitlyn Jenner slammed late-night host Jimmel Kimmel after he called Jenner Trump in a wig. During his show on Thursday night, Kimmel celebrated the end of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which ran for 20 seasons across 14 years and inspired 10 spinoffs. 10 spinoffs of Keeping Up with the Kardashians? I didn't even know there was one. There's 10? My Lord. Kimmel said, anyway, I'm not going to repeat his jokes because they're not even really funny, but he made a joke that Caitlyn Jenner is Donald Trump in a wig. And then there was some outrage about that, but not from the left, of course. It was from the right. And Jenner called out Kimmel, the left, and the LGBT community on Twitter. On Friday, he tweeted, quote, "Last night, Jimmel Kimmel called me Donald Trump with a wig. He obviously believes that trans women are simply men with wigs on." Well, where's the outrage from the left or LGBT community? Being woke must be optional if you're a Democrat. And, of course, there are, as I said, plenty of people on the right jumping on this bandwagon and saying, "Oh, where's this is transphobia? Where's the outrage from the left? Where's the outrage?" And yes, okay, it is hypocrisy. Of course it is. We all understand that. If Jimmel Kimmel had made this joke about any other trans person that I can even think of, because all the other ones that come to mind are on the left, any other prominent trans person in the public eye, or not prominent, if he had chosen any other target for that joke, who's transgender and it's not Caitlyn Jenner, yes, there would be tremendous outrage on the left, and he would be the joke never would have been made in the first place, so we don't have to think about it. But if somehow it was, then there would be tremendous outrage, and he'd be forced to issue an apology and all the rest of it. Calling a quote unquote trans woman a man in a wig, yes, from the left, in every other circumstance, they're going to call that blatant transphobia, and it's unacceptable, and it's probably a hate crime. However, does that mean that we on the right should jump on this bandwagon and say, "Hey, this is transphobia"? We're outraged by it. Why aren't you? You guys are the real transphobes. Should we be doing that? Should we do that whole routine? The answer is no, we shouldn't. And I'll tell you why. 2 reasons. Number one, and this is something we all need to try to understand and keep in mind. The left, they don't care about their hypocrisy. Not only do they not care about it, but it's the point. The hypocrisy is the point. Because that shows their cultural power. What they're saying is, we make the rules. Yeah, obviously the rules don't apply to us like they do to you. Thanks for noticing. We're the ones in charge. Yeah, clearly we don't care in general about quote unquote transphobia. This is a tool that we use to bludgeon our opponents. You're our opponents. We're not going to bludgeon ourselves with the tool. That's the left. They will all but come out and say that. It's clearly their strategy. So by merely pointing out the hypocrisy in this way, it doesn't achieve much because we all know it, but they know it too. And so what's the point? The hypocrisy is the point because it's all about power. That's the first problem with the Democrats are the real transphobe thing. The second is that in order to criticize the left on their own grounds, right, by throwing their own labels back at them. And I understand the temptation to do this because you're saying, we're gonna make them take a dose of their own medicine. We're gonna hold them to their own standard and all this kind of stuff. The problem is that to criticize them on their terms, not only is it ineffectual because they don't care, but also it requires you to adopt their presuppositions. By criticizing them on their terms, they've already won because you're agreeing with them. So the left, when they hear people on the right non-ironically using the term transphobia, the left, they can sit back and say, well, our work here is done. you suckers. You think when you start calling them transphobes, they're cowering in fear? Oh no, they're calling us transphobes. What will we do? We've been defeated. We've been bested at our own game. Oh, drat. We would have got away with it too. If not for you darn kids. No, not at all. They're saying, okay, thank you. Thanks for agreeing with us. By using a term like transphobia, you're agreeing with them. You're ceding the point. You're surrendering the ground. You're adopting their philosophical presuppositions. On the right, what we should know is that, first of all, transphobia is not a thing. I'm not going to accuse anyone of being a transphobe. That's not a thing. Phobe is fear. No one's afraid of trans people. The people like myself who are critical of the concept of transgenderism, it's not out of fear. It's out of an understanding of science and logic. It's a logical criticism, not a fear-based one. And also, frankly, observing that a male with long hair is not a woman, that's not bigotry. Even if it's hypocritical coming from Jimmel Kimmel, it's still not bigotry. And so I'm not going to say that it is. Even in an attempt to score a point against Jimmel Kimmel, because you're not going to score the point then. Listen, hit that subscribe button right now. Do it right now. I thank you for your compliance. It is somewhat appreciated.